Well, it's time to gab about games once again. Game Gab. I'm Keith Avalone from Play Games. Sam is running our board for us tonight in our Discord server. We're going to get people on the air and talk about this Rodeo game we've been working on for the past few weeks. We had a lot of good submissions. We posted the download pack on Sunday. And, well, it's time to gab about games. Yes, it's in the description of the video. If you missed it, you can click the link and take a look at it. Play Games. Sam is running our game plan for tonight is to actually play all the games, or as many of them as we can fit in an hour. And just sort of get a feel for how they play. And as we play them, we're hoping that the person that designed the game, or the persons, is the case in some of these, will jump on and help me out with any mistakes that I might be making. Our game plan for tonight, but the idea is to just go and have our own little rodeo event with these different game modules and just kind of run them back to back. We're going to start with James Cast's bull riding game. We actually have two bull riding games. Now, I have to say that Rob Gallimore has been quite prolific in this whole rodeo game design project. He's come up with 5 different modules, and we're not going to have time to run through all. I think total we've got like 10 modules. So we figure, about 10 minutes per module maybe. So we're going to try to limit it to 5 or 6. So we're going to have Rob. We're going to do Rob's self-professed 2 favorite games at the very end. We'll have James Cast's bull riding game. We actually have 3 different bull riding games in the mix. We're only going to run 2 of them, James Cast's and Pete Adams. And then we'll go to, I believe we're going to try out Mike Fitzgerald's Bareback riding game. And then the steer wrestling game from Elon Olaf. And then we'll go to the barrel racing from Rob Gallimore and wrap it up with the chuck wagon races from Rob Gallimore. So that's the order that we're going to do this in. And then we'll go if you want to jump in and talk, please feel free to. That's what this is all about. It's not called Game Gab for no reason. We want to be talking with you about these games. And maybe you downloaded the game and played it yourself and had a different interpretation of the rules, perhaps. So if you'd like to jump in, Sam will be orchestrating the waiting room. Let me explain how it works. So if you would like to get on, you go to the topics room. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Sam. You go to the topics room and post your topic. You would post in the topics room something like, hey, I played James Cast's bull riding game, and I didn't understand this, or you're doing this wrong, or something like that. That would be the topic. I tried Elon's steer wrestling game. Here's what I really like about it. So post that in the topic room, and then leave the topics room and go back to the general area. Sam will then pull you into the mic check room where they'll make sure that your equipment's working properly, and assuming that it is, he will then put you in the waiting room and will get you on the air. He'll be moving people around. So that's how it works in the Discord server. There's a link for the Discord server. Yep. Okay, so this is like our 4th or 5th week of doing this, so I think most people are kind of familiar with the way this all works. All right, we're going to start with James Cast's bull riding game. And I've got a big pile of dice here and some tokens. I've already run through all these games once and this afternoon, so I think I've got all the equipment I need here. I just had it printed. I did not print it in color. The whole packet is like something like 50 pages, so I like many of us, I'm kind of cheap when it comes to using up my toner. So I had this printed in black and white, and on plain paper, but it serves the purpose, and it's good for playtesting. So we're going to do a little bull riding sequence here. You've got the rules in the download pack, so I don't know that I really need to explain the rules. I'm just going to kind of stream of consciousness play it out. So we're going to do a 4 event, four bull riders, and we're just going to shuffle these up. And we'll just kind of randomly assign them here. We'll have a little four event bull riding session here. Got Sage Kimsey and Crapshoot, Alan D'Souza, Ty Murray, Relentless, Jose Vitor LeMay, Top Shelf. I want to use Terry Don West. He was the star of my practice session earlier. And we'll do a cool customer as the other bulls. So there are riders, there are bulls. I don't know, can you see those? Yeah, I guess you can. I think they're visible. I'll set these other riders and bulls to the side. So the way this basically works is the Cowboys get 2 different kinds of ratings. One for grip, which is how well they're able to hold. And by the way, if I'm misstating any of this, Call in. That's why we're gabbing about it. And let me know what I got wrong. But so this is all the way I understand it from reading the rules. The two ratings for the Cowboys, grip and spurs. Grip is basically their ability to hold on. Spurs is their ability to deal with a mean bull. The bulls are also rated into two facets. Moves is basically their ability to try to buck the cowboy off, and horns is their meanness. So the more horns they have, the meaner they are. And that's all the ratings that we really need to know. So it's a matter of determining the cowboy's grip as he comes out of the chute. And you do that by rolling a d6 and adding it to the grip rating. So we'll start with Sage Kimsey, and he's going to get 7. So he's going to get a total of 7 hit points. Based on this bull action chart, we're going to roll these 2 red dice here, and we're going to add them. We're also going to add the modifier, which is the move rating. We're going to, whatever that move rating is, we're going to add that to whatever we roll, and that will tell us how many points how many hit points the bull generates in terms of getting the cowboy off his back. So Sage Kimsey's got 7 total hit points for this ride, and Crapshoot has got to add up 7 here or more in 4 dice rolls. Each dice roll amounts to 2 seconds of the ride. Okay, so the first thing we do, though, is we send the clown to the crowd and get the crowd-o-meter going. That's going to help affect the score. And so if the ride is successful, of course, if you don't complete the 8-second ride, you don't get a score. And indeed, my earlier test session, nobody finished the 8-second ride, so these bulls are pretty tough. But if he does finish, it's going to be a 30-point bonus. The clown gets the crowd going on this particular ride for Sage Kimsey. Now we're going to start. So we're going to roll the 2 red dice. And it's very low, so that's actually good. So 2 plus 3, so we're going to read it as a 5. So it's going to be only 1 hit point. And Crapshoot extends his hindquarters. So the first 2 seconds, and there's a score sheet for this. I'm just going to kind of keep my own score here. So that's 2 seconds. He's 2 seconds in, and he's generated 1 hit point. So now he's down to 6. And we roll again. It's another low number. He might finish this ride. 3 plus 3 is 6. So it's another 1 point hit on Kimsey. So we'll bring that down to 2. So that still leaves him with 5 points. Low drop on the front quarters. And here's the third. 8. So that's going to be a little tougher. 8 plus 3 is going to be 11. That will do 3 hit points. So that will leave him with just 2. But he's still on. Low drop on the front quarters. And our final roll. Let's see if he can finish this ride. We get a 6 plus 3 is 9. 2. No, he bucks him off at the very end. So he does not, as I understand it, that means he does not complete the ride because there's no hit points left. Crapshoot bucks him off just at the end. So we would look at this total. 6 plus 3 is 9, and we get a 1.36. So basically, we would add that. He gets a complete 2 seconds for each of the banked segments. So he got thrown off just before the 8 seconds. So he's going to get a 7.36 ride. So we're just going to write that down here. Sage is 7.36. He's got the best time so far, but he doesn't get a score because he didn't finish the ride. Let's go to Alan D'Souza, and we'll do the clown first. Clown's working the crowd. Another 30 points bonus if he finishes the ride. And we roll a 4, so he's going to get a grip of 6. You know what? I'm going to do this. That'll give him a grip total of 6. And we do the same thing with Relentless, although his move total is only 1, so he's a little bit easier to ride. He's a little meaner if we... And the horns come into play when you roll doubles, which we haven't done yet. I believe that's what happens. If you roll doubles, the horns come into play. All right, so the ride is underway, and there's our first doubles. All right, speak of the devil. So we are going... This is part of that I'm not entirely sure of. So if you roll doubles before the ride check... the cowboy rolls the white die, applies his spurs modifier. Let me switch this out so I've got my white die here. Spurs modifier. So his spurs modifier is 3. So it's going to be 4. And we're going to compare that to the bull's horns rating, which is 3. So he does survive. So he survives. He gets past the meanness of Relentless. So he completes the first 2 seconds. And we go to the second 2 seconds. 11. 11. Okay, but he's at All right, he's at the very end though, so because okay, terrific, Rob. Appreciate you being here. Okay, so I rolled an 11, and that is going to be, and I have to add 1, which brings it to 12. So it's a 3-point hit, which brings this down to 3. And we go to the third, the fifth and sixth seconds of the ride. Oh, it's a low number. Low numbers are good in this. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So that's going to take 1 more. So he still has 2 hit points left. And now I go to the final segment of the ride, and it's 5, 6. Oh, it looks like he did the 8-second ride, so we're going to get to score it. It only took 1 more hit point off, so he rode for 8 seconds, and let's see how we score this. It's actually pretty straightforward. You have to have kept track of each of the individual dice roll numbers, though, for the bull judge's score. So I'm just going to kind of try to remember them off the top of my head. I should have been writing them down, but I believe he rolled a 2 and a 3 and a 5 and a 12, or actually 3, 4, 5, and 12. I'm just going to say that. Ballpark numbers. There were low numbers, and then we had that one high number. So that would be a total of 24 points. 24 points. And then, so that's the Bulls score. And the Crowdometer total is 30, because we had that great roll. And then, as I understand it, we give 5 points for each successful segment. In an 8-second ride, that is 4 successful segments. That would add 20 points for the Cowboy. So that, if I'm correct, that would be a 74-point ride for Alan D'Souza. Now, one thing I did want to mention was I'm assuming that we would add the Bulls modifier to that score for the animal. So in other words, if he's got a modifier of 3 and I rolled a 9, that would be a 12, and we would count that as the judge's score for the animal. I'm pretty sure that's the way this works. And then it looks like, and this doesn't seem quite right, but as I'm reading these rules, it looks like any cowboy that completes an 8-second ride is going to get a 20-point bonus. Doesn't matter what their style was, it's going to be a flat 20 points for finishing the ride, and then the crowdometer will add more points, more or less points to it. So, okay, so we got one guy that's finished. Let's go and wrap this up. Ty Murray here. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to get a 5 for the crowdometer. It's 25 points. And let's see. We're gonna Ty Murray's grip is going to be 6. He's got 6 hit points to work with. We'll go ahead and put this at 6. And we begin the ride top shelf as a +1 modifier. So 4 plus 5 is 1. Brings him down to 5. And I'll write that down this time. 4. That's 5. And then the next roll is going to be, it's a 4. Plus 1 is 5 again, so it's going to be another 1 point. He's hanging on. Now I roll 11 plus 1 is 12. So that would be 3 points. That brings him down to 1. And this is one thing so if he's down to 1, it looks like there are no results on the bull action chart which would generate 0. So he's going to get bucked off. Because the least amount of points you get is 1. He's only got 1 hit point left. So we'll just roll it. It's going to be a 6, and plus 1 is 7, 2 points. So at the very end, he gets bucked off. So no score for Ty Murray. Oh, the thing I'm forgetting to do, there's a dismount result at the end as well. So when you, I thought there was. No, I guess that's one of the other ones. That's right. It's the other bull riding thing that has a dismount to see if he gets hurt. There is a rule in here, though, for I just lost my Discord screen. There, it's back. Let's see. There is a roll for the clown coming in at the end. The survival check to see if the rodeo clown protects the rider. And there's a way for him. Yeah, right. So you roll the blue die to see if the rodeo clown protects the rider. So he got bucked at the end, so we'd subtract 1 from the roll because he's not a mean bull. So it'd be a 1. So Ty Murray's going to leave arena in an ambulance. Alan D'Souza, we probably should have rolled for him 4. So he's going to walk away without an incident. And Sage Kimsey would be 5. He also would take a good bump on landing, but no major injury. So anyway, that's how this works. We'll go ahead and leave it at that. I'll move on to the next, but that is how James Cast's bull riding game works. We have anybody in the waiting room that's ready to visit about it? We got Rob hanging on, but Rob will get you in here in just a second to talk about your chuck wagon and the barrel racing game. All right, so that is James Cast's bull riding game. I'm going to set that aside here. So there's a lot of good things happening in that. With the clown interaction and the cowboy ability to hang on, the difficulty of the bull all kind of comes together really nicely. All right, so here's Pete Adams. Let me move this out of here. Here's Pete Adams' bull riding game, which is similar in what it does, but it does it in a different way. And this was really a kind of a community project here. I think the cards that we have here were designed by Mark Dykeshorn. And the game here originally was kind of inspired by Rob Gallimore. And of course, this is put together by Pete Adams. And Eel and Olaf provided some input on it too. So we have a kind of a scoreboard here. We have our cowboys and our bulls. And like James's game, we have places for both. We'll do a series of 3 rides here, and we'll just randomly. So our first ride will be we'll put Clyde Doggett, who will be riding Bohemian Rhapsody. And again, I think Pete was going to join us. Yeah, I think I see Pete there. I think he's going to be joining us here shortly. I'll go ahead and get this thing started. So first thing I want to tell Pete is that we got some tokens here. I hear the beeping. That means Pete must be there. All right. Pete. Good, you? Excellent. Thanks for joining us here. Now, as I understand it, with Sam, you're not going to be able to watch this on the screen because there was like a 15-second delay. You'll just kind of have to follow my voice cues. All right. And so will I. I'm not always the best at explaining. All right, here we go. So I got your game board out here. We're going to put the first token. I got 4 orange pawns. One of them goes on the in the gate. I'm looking at your scoreboard here. First, I got a couple of suggestions, if you don't mind. First of all, you got the space for that you put the token or the chip where the cowboy loses his grip, right? All right. So you need to have a place to put the pawn for when the cowboy has the grip. So I kind of penciled one on there. So when he loses his grip, I'll move it from the grip space to the loses his grip space. Also on the scoring track, there's no 0, so I got no place to put my pawns to start. You got to reconfigure that so there's a 0 space, but I kind of made one above the 10. All right, so we're ready to go here. And just kind of correct me if I'm wrong. We got Clyde Doggett the cowboy. We got the bull Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm going to roll a black die. I think you have a specific. It doesn't really matter which color is which, but I'm going to roll the black die for the bull and the white die for the cowboy, thinking the cowboy's wearing the white hat and the bull, is black. B stands for black bull. All right. So white is the cowboy, black is the bull. Now I'm going to roll these 2 dice, and I'm going to match up the dice roll on the little key that you've got printed on the board, and if the cowboy has the quality, he's going to score 10 points and stay on the bull. If the bull has the matching quality, then that's going to score another 10 points. But again, the cowboy will stay on the bull unless the bull has like the bonus extra quality, which would then buck him off. Am I right so far? Okay. If I roll a result where neither the cowboy nor the bull has the quality, then it's just like a really lame section of the ride where the cowboy's not doing much, the bull's not doing much, no points are going to get scored, but the cowboy stays on the bull. And then we have the situation where the cowboy gets bucked off, and that is if the cowboy doesn't have the quality and the bull does, then the cowboy's going to lose his grip. And if that happens a second time, ride over, right? Here we go. Clyde Doggett out of the chute. We got a 2-6, so we're looking at if Clyde's got tough, he does, so he's going to stay on. The bull is not mean, so there's 10 points for Clyde Doggett in the first 2 seconds, and the bull gets nothing. Here's the second 2 seconds. The second 2 seconds. I guess I don't know what else to call it except the second 2 seconds. So it's a 3-6. Does Clyde have the strong quality? He does not. But again, Bohemian Rhapsody does not have the mean quality. So Clyde stays on the bull, but no points are scored. Am I right so far? Okay, 6th second. We roll again. This time we're looking for skill. Clyde doesn't have it. Bohemian Rhapsody, does he have buck? Oh, does he have buck? He's got the double buck. So that will cause. Question: Does that cause two losses of grips or just the one? Because he doesn't have anything to counter it with. Okay. But Clyde doesn't get tossed. He loses his grip, but he's still hanging on, right? All right, and here's the final, the 8th second. We roll a 3-6. Is asked if Clyde is strong. He is not. And is Bohemian Rhapsody mean? He is not. So no points are going to be scored. He's going to stay on for the full 8 seconds, and now we're going to score it. And it's a pretty simple process. It's going to be 10 points for the cowboy, 20 points for the bull, and there's an extra point. Is there more points that gets added on? Yes, we go to the judges table, which is pretty cool. I like to use the advanced judges table. So we're going to see we got a strict judge, and so that will add 1 point for the cowboy score because the cowboy had 10, so that will give him 11. The bull with 20 will get 3 more for 23, so that's going to be a 34-point ride for Clyde Doggett. Am I right so far? Oh, okay. Okay, so the way I scored it would be both of the judges would be strict, right? So what I should have done was rolled again for the other judge, and it would have perhaps added 3 or 4 or 5 points. All right, I'll do that again. So I'll roll again for the bull. Well, just to make it simple, just say they're both strict. He kind of got ripped off there. He only got 34 points for that ride. That sometimes happens. All right, let's do another one. I'm going to get Grant Rubio, and I'm going to have Grant Rubio riding Hellboy. We're going to reset everything in the gate, and he's out of the gate. We roll a 65. Balance? No. Versus buck? Yes, double buck. So once again, that's going to be 20 points then for Hellboy. No points for Grant, and he loses his grip, and we're 2 seconds into the ride. He's already almost off the bull. Second roll is a 24. Is he tough? He's not. 4 for Hellboy is horns. He doesn't have horns, so no points scored. He hangs on. We go to the third segment. 56. Is Grant flexible? He's not. But Hellboy does have the buck quality. He's going to buck him off after 6 seconds. So no points will be scored for Grant Rubio. We wouldn't even go to the judges chart then, right? And you don't have. Do you have an injury thing here or like a? Yeah, you get the dismount, right? So I should have. Right, right. That is pretty cool. So I should have had Clyde Doggett dismount uh, after the 8-second ride. So why don't I go ahead and do that right now? So it would have been a 4. He loses. He says he loses the up arrow next ride as he gets a bullhorn when landing and didn't move quick enough. So for the next event, Clyde Doggett, and see, he has like double style. So he would lose that for the next event because of getting gored, right? And now this guy, Grant Rubio. Now we're gonna roll for him, and he gets the dismount no ride, correct? So I'm gonna roll for him 6. So he lands awkwardly. The rodeo clown distracts the bull. No injury. Add the brave quality next ride. I didn't see a brave quality. What is the brave quality? Okay, so he would add a quality, but obviously the brave is not part of the quality set, so it'd be like he would add skill or something, or add strong or something for his next ride, correct? Okay, all right. Let's do one more, and then we'll let you go and move on to the next. Let's get Brew Murchison out there and have him run Gentleman Jim. All right, so we reset everything. And the scoring track really does make it pretty simple to do this. All right, so we're going to get rolling. We're going to roll a 2-6. So is Brew tough? He is. And mean, looks like Gentleman Jim is mean, so they both are going to score 10. So we got a good ride started here. Second one is going to be, 1 and 1, skill and power. So Brew has skill. Gentleman Jim does not have power, so that's 20, another 10 for Brew. And here's the third segment, 43. Style, does not have style. Gentleman Jim does not have the kick move either, so no points scored on that. We go to the final segment of the ride, and it's 26. Tough, yes. So 10 more points for Brew. Mean, 10 more points for Gentleman Jim. But Brew hangs on. We're going to dismount now. We roll an 8. Dismounts cleanly. Oh, nice. Dismounts cleanly on his feet. Clown draws bull away from the rider. No injury. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to score it. Looks like our first judge is going to be respected. And let's see, 30 plus 8. Wow, 38. So 38 points for the rider. And the second judge, the bull judge, is going to be lenient. And so that's going to be 28 points for the bull. So 28 plus 38 would be 66. So that'd be a 66-point ride for Brew Murchison. Not bad, right? So he would be our leader so far. The Clyde Doggett with 34, and then our other rider getting tossed off. So that's how it works. Is that pretty much how you designed it there, Pete? I mean. Well, it seems to me like if a cowboy has 3 qualities out of 6, that means he's only going to score half the time, which means if he completes an 8-second ride, he's going to get 20 points probably. And kind of the same thing for the bull. So that would be a 40-point ride plus whatever bonus. Looks like your average bonuses are going to be, and I'm just ballparking it here, but it looks like your average bonuses are, maybe going to add another 10 points on average. So that would be sounds like about a 50-point ride, and I have no idea what that sounds like. Is that a typical score for a bull riding event? Well, it's kind of a moot point because you can always tweak the scoring to make it right, but I'm not sure whether more qualities need to be added or not. Really, I mean, it kind of depends on how much action. You got to have you got to leave enough headroom for the really star cowboys to shine. And if your average cowboy has 4 or 5 qualities, then there's no there's nowhere to go at the top. So I mean, I think you're about right. I think 2 qualities though might be too few. It'd be pretty hard for a cowboy to score. So anyway, any final thoughts there? Anything you'd like to throw in there before we let you go about the game? And well, I think you mentioned something that you'd like to see added, or some stuff. What direction would you like to see it go? Okay, I would like just to throw out there. I'd like to see some strategy choices to add a little more. Add something for the game player to do if they want to be more engaged. Where maybe they get to choose to add a quality for a role or take away a quality for a role. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it might be kind of fun to have some strategy elements where you can. Something to think about, and we'll let people kind of chew on that as we work towards next week's show. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate you joining us. All right, we're going to go to Mike Fitzgerald's bareback riding game. Now, Mike kind of submitted this at the first week or early on, and then kind of, I think he was really impressed with the other offerings that were put out there, but I wanted to kind of revisit Mike's game just to kind of show you how it worked. And it's really more of a game than a sim, but we're going to do bareback riding. And if Mike is, I don't know if Mike's along tonight, but if he is, maybe he can jump on. So we're going to use 8 dice. The key to this game is the Cowboys. And again, this is not finished. It's just sort of an early development from Mike. His idea was you give each cowboy a number of dice that they can choose from. And it's sort of a risk-reward type thing. The more dice you use, the higher your score, but also the more likely that you'll get bucked off. And it's based on rolling matching numbers. So obviously, the fewer dice you roll, the less your odds of rolling duplicates. However, because you use the total dice pool to score, you're also reducing your potential score. So it kind of leaves it up to you as to how risky you want to be, which I think is kind of cool. So we'll just run a couple of events. We've got Buck and Bob and Roddy Rope, and they both do bareback riding. They both have Buck and Bob's range is 8 to 10, which means he can use 8 to 10 dice for that event. And Roddy can use 6 to 8. So we'll just use 8 for both of them just to show you how it works. So you roll all the dice together, and you're going to pull out all the matching dice. All right? And the idea is you want to roll all the dice roll the dice twice and avoid having 4 that match. It's kind of like, in a way, sort of like Yahtzee. So we got 6, 6, 6. We're going to take out the 6s. Oh, look, we already got 4. So that would mean, because we already rolled 4 right from the start, 4 5s, so Buck and Bob got bucked right out of the gate. So he's not going to get any points. That means Roddy. So here's where the strategy would come into play. If it were just these two, Roddy would say, okay, Buck and Bob just got bucked. All I got to do is just stay on. I'm going to play it safe and just use 6 dice, because his range is, I'm using the fewest possible dice in my range. So we'll roll these 6. And again, there has to be 4 matching for him to get thrown off. And so you're going to take the one that matches the most. He's got 2s and 6s. We'll set the 6s aside. We're going to roll these again. And what we want to avoid is to roll 2 more. We want to roll at most 1 more 6. Oh, but look, we rolled 3 6s. So yeah, he got thrown too. So both of them got thrown from their horses. So if they had survived, then you would use those dice. You'd add up the dice that were set aside for the horse and double it. That would be the horse's total. And you would add up the remaining dice, and that would be the rider's total. And you double that, and it would give you a point total. So obviously, the more dice you roll, if you're successful and avoid rolling 4, you will then have a higher score. But both of them got bucked, and so nobody scored. So that and again, there are some things you can do to that which would make it more interesting. The animal does come into play at this early stage of the development. The way Mike had it was at the end of the ride, you would roll on the horse card, and if you rolled a certain number, then it would take you to another chart that would have crazy things happen. So, but that hasn't been developed yet. But that's the general idea. The heart of the game is in your decision making as to how many dice you want to roll, which dice you want to keep, and which dice you want to re-roll. Because the dice that you set aside are going to score points for the animals. So you probably want to set aside the higher. Okay, so that's the bareback riding game from Mike. Let's go to steer wrestling from Elon. This is a very elegant game, by the way. It's very simple to play. It has a nice feel to it. We're just gonna, and it didn't even have to cut the cards out. I'm just gonna just set them out here. So you roll 3 dice together. You need a D20, a D6, and a D10. So here's our 3 dice that we need for this. Everything else we're gonna set aside, and a pencil helps. So the D20 will call into play. Again, it uses a qualities-based system. You've got each of these steer wrestlers has a set of qualities. They're also rated for the horse that they're riding and the hazer as well. And the D20 is going to call into play these various qualities. And depending on whether he has or doesn't have that quality, it will either add or not add time to the wrestling roping process. And the D10 and the D6 basically determine the time. So you get a nice little narrative, you get a quantifiable result, and it's very fast. So we're just going to go right down the line here with these top 8, and we'll start with Bradley Willis, and we roll them all together. So we start with the D20. It's a 9, and it says, does the contestant have form? Doesn't look like he does have form. So if not, steer fights and cost the contestant time. You're going to add 3 seconds to the roll. So the D6 tells us what the basic time is, and the D10 gives us tenths of a second. So 6 translates into 6 seconds. We add the 3 seconds from this, so he's going to get 9.9 seconds. It's a 9.9 second time for Bradley Wills. But he is in first place so far. All right, so here's Carson Carroll, and we start with a 19. Does Carson Carroll have timing? Doesn't look like he does. So the steer hangs while the contestant's trying to finish the run. Add a second to the dice roll. Fortunately, though, he got a good time, only 3 seconds with a 1, so that'll make it 4 seconds, 4.1 seconds. That's a pretty good time for Carson Carroll. He's our new leader. And now we bring out Hector Rios. So we roll an 18. Does the contestant have form? He does have form. So this would be the one thing that's maybe a little, I mean, it's fairly intuitive. So because he does have form, no time is going to be added. So we'll just use the time as it's expressed here. It doesn't specifically say that on the line, but that's how it works. So 5 is going to be a 5 seconds. He's going to get a 5.6 second time because he had good form. That puts him in second place. Here's Reginald Wang. We get a 15. Is his hazer rating A? It is. So again, no extra time. It'll be 5.6 seconds for Reginald Wang. That puts him in a tie for second place. Here's Miles Elliott. And he's off. 15. Is his hazer rated A? No, it's a C. So because his hazer is a C, not an A, the steer's going to drift. He's going to lose time. We're going to add 2 seconds to the dice roll. We'll add, and a 4 represents 5 seconds, so it's going to be a 7.5 second time for Miles Elliott. Samuel Knapp, that puts him in third place. Samuel Knapp, we get a 16. Is Samuel's horse rated A? No, it's a B. His horse is not an A. So the steer's going to come out with medium speed. The contestant's going to lose some time. We're going to add a second to the dice roll. He already gets 6 seconds because he rolled a 6. That'll make it 7.1 seconds for Samuel Knapp. Still better than Miles Elliott, though. Here's Riley Bass. 19. Does the contestant have timing? He does. So no extra time. That will be 5 seconds, 5.2 seconds for Riley Bass. And finally, Adrian Gallagher. That's puts him in second place. Adrian Gallagher with the last chance to try to beat Carson Carroll's 4.1. Here we go. We got a 10. Does the contestant have poise? No, unfortunately, he does not. So because he doesn't have poise, he's broken the barrier. We're going to add 10 seconds to the time. Ouch. It's kind of a penalty there. So it's 15.2 seconds for Adrian Gallagher. So there's our first round. Looks like Carson Carroll would get first place. We'd have Riley Bass in second place at 5.2 seconds. And then Hector and Reginald both at 5.6 seconds. It's a very fast game, and as you can see, a lot of different things come into play here. The horse came into play a couple times. The hazer came into play. The ability of the wrestler came into play. So it's really nicely done for such a small compact game engine. A lot gets done, and you really get a kind of a sense of what's going on. And, it looks like you get some pretty good statistics. So that is Elan's steer wrestling game. And I guess, is Elan here? I guess he's not.
No, we don't have Elan. We lost Rob as well. He was in the mic check room. He was ready to go, but I don't know where he went. So, Rob, if you're listening and you want to come back on to talk about your games, we are ready for you.
Yeah, I'm going to go the barrel racing game. In fact, I'm right at Rob's games right now, so I'll just go ahead and dive right in, I guess, and hopefully Rob will join us. So Rob, we're going to start with Rob's favorite was the chuck wagon races, so we'll save that for last. This is Rob's barrel racing game, and let me set this over here. And there are a couple of different ways to play this, as I understand it. These are like the game charts, and there is a setup that is sort of reminiscent of red, white, and blue racing, which will set up the barrel racing standings after 2 days for you, with a series of dice rolls. So the idea is they would have, you could either play out and have every cowgirl run the barrel races 3 times and take their best score, or their cumulative score, or you could do this quick play method, which will generate the first place and the second place down to the 9th place, and will give you a cumulative time for you. And what we'll do is I'll go ahead and roll through the barrel racing quick play thing quickly here. Oh, good. Rob, let me hear you. Good. Welcome. I was just explaining the barrel racing part. So the barrel racing week is kind of similar to race week in red, white, and blue racing in that it sets up the qualifying order, right? If I'm understanding it correctly, the figure that is associated with like first place, second place, third place is a numerical figure. That would be their cumulative time for the first 2 times around the barrels, correct? Okay. So, I'll go ahead and do that. So we're going to put these cards in random order and just kind of assign them starting top to bottom. So I've got the cards all shuffled up. So Shelby Spielman, I roll a 5. If she has 5 traits and an A horse, which she does, I'm going to put her in the top row. Doesn't say where in the top row. I'm going to assume it's first place though, because that's what's open. All right. So Emily Miller, we roll a 4. She has 5 traits, so she will also go in the top row. There's Lisa Lockhart, who has 4 or less traits. No, she's got 5 traits, so she will go in the middle row. And Tacey Bettis, who was the winner in my test run of this, she a roll of 4. She has 5 traits. She does not have 5 traits, so she will go in the middle row as well. Jennifer Sharp, we rolled a 3. So move the rider to the top row if an A horse best spot. There's only 1 spot left, so I'll just put her right in there. And now Nellie Miller. with a 2, move the rider to the middle row. If it's full, which it's not, so I'll just put her in there. Here's Callahan Crossley with a 1, and so only the bottom row is open. So what do I do at this point? Just put them all in the bottom row?
Yeah, you just fill them in from there.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and put them in there then. So it looks like Go
On
ahead.
the chart I had you just fill the remaining riders based on traits in the horse. So the one with the most traits in the A horse would go into 7, then 8, then 9.
Okay, so what if the one who has the most traits doesn't have an A? We have somebody with an A horse that has 5 traits, somebody with a B horse that has 6.
I would take the total number of traits that they had. So if there was 6 traits, I'd put them ahead of the person with the A horse.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do that right now. Not that it's really going to be incredibly important for our demonstration purposes, but anyway, this is how it would look. And so these are your standings entering Barrel Race Sunday. And you'd start with the person in last place and work your way up to the top. So in this case, that'd be Callahan Crossley. And let's see. I'm going to have... Let me get the right amount of dice here. Yes, I'm going to roll a red die for the horse and a white die for the rider. And I'm going to compare. It's kind of similar to Pete's idea, where the white qualities, the cowboy qualities correspond to the white die, the horse qualities correspond to the red die, and then we're going to combine the number of traits that they have, and then roll a die on that particular column to get a time for that stretch, that barrel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Callahan Crossley is out the gate, and we're going to roll a 6-1. So 6 for Callahan Crossley is tough. She does not have the tough quality. The horse is not an A, so that's going to be a 0 trait. We're going to go to the 0 trait box. Not a good start. And we roll 1 die. I wonder if we ought to just roll 3 dice at once. I'm going to roll a green die. That way I don't have to re-roll anything. 5 means she is going to get 4.2 for her first segment. I was going to write it down here on the. I didn't get the time clock. After I run this sample, let's go over the time clock and you can explain to me how it works. I'm just going to write 4.2 for her first segment. So she's here, 4.2. Now we're going to roll again. And it's going to be 1-6. So is she strong? She is not. We're going to have an unusual result. So that when I roll a red 6, that means whatever I roll on the white die doesn't really matter, does it?
No, you just go right to the unusual results chart, and it'll, for the most part, will give you a total time.
Right. So basically, yeah. So this ride is going to be complete here shortly. I roll a 7. Oh, cowgirl knocked over barrel. Add 10 seconds to the finals. Oh, so I do have to continue on then.
Yeah, for that one you would. Yeah.
So I'm going to get so she's going to have 10 seconds added. I'm going to put the 10-second penalty here, and then we re-roll. So 3. This is not going to be a very good ride for Callahan Crossley. I have a feeling she might stay in last place. Okay, so 4 is flexible. She is flexible, and the horse is an A or a B. So that's going to be a 2 trait segment, and we rolled a 3 on the green die, so that would be 4.1.
Yeah.
And now we roll again for the third barrel. And it's double 4s. There's no bonus for doubles, is there, or is there? I don't think there is.
No, there's not.
Okay, so 4 is going to be flexible and B, so she's going to get. This is going to be a 2 trait roll, and a 2 is 4.1. So once again, 4.1 seconds. And now the home stretch. So this is where we add it all up. So are we going to count that 10-second penalty?
No, you tack that on at the end. I sort of thought, when I was designing this, that the strength of the horse should have a little bit more oomph. So on the back stretch, if you're under or at 12.4, you go to the horse A section, and if you're over 12.4, you go to A1. So just add a tenth of a second. But with the barrel racing, the scores are always so tight that
right.
1/10 of a second is a big difference.
Okay, now you said A, but in this case, her horse is a B, so you would be choosing between B and B1 then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to use B. and we're going to roll. We'll roll the green die, and it's a 5, so it's going to be 5.3. So there's our total. 4, and so it's 4, 12, 17.7 plus the 10-second penalty is 27.7 seconds for Callahan Crossley. And there's nothing post race that you roll on, is there? I don't think.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Let's move on to Haley Kinsel, and we'll just run 3 of these, and then we'll move on to the chuck wagon race. So Haley Kinsel, and we're basically going to do the same thing.
Okay.
We start from the gate. We roll a 6 and a 1. 6 is tough. She does not have tough. She's got those double qualities. I need to make sure I ask you about those again.
Okay.
So 6-1. Let's see. The horse 1 is an A, so that will be a 1 trait score, and we rolled a 6, so it's a 4.1. Good start. 4.1 is really the best start you can have, right?
Yeah, in that particular column.
Okay, so here's the second barrel, double 4s. So that will be flexible and B. So she's going to have flexible, but the horse. So the horse is an A. Does that count as a? Is that a?
No, it doesn't count it as a trait. So it'd be a 1 trait roll for her.
Okay, and we got a 2 for 4.2. So she lost a 1/10 of a second there. Here's the third barrel. 2-6. That's going to be handsy. Oh, and it's an unusual result. So we're going to roll on the unusual result chart. 11. Horse bumps a barrel. Oh, one more bump, a barrel, and it will go down. Okay, explain that for me.
Okay, so what I want to do is add a little bit of drama to the race, a little bit of excitement. So if you have a bump barrel, you would redo the roll, and if you get another unusual result, you get a bump barrel, that would count. 2 bump barrels would knock it over, so you'd add 10 seconds to the end of the ride.
Okay, so but in real barrel racing, if you bump, you can bump the barrel, right?
No. This is just sort of a game feature to add a little bit of drama and excitement to the game.
So, so bumping the barrel should cause a penalty, but doesn't unless you do it twice. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, in this game,
okay,
you got to hit it twice to knock it down.
Oh, okay, all right. So a little drama there. We're gonna re-roll, and she's got 1 bumped barrel there, to her credit. It goes 6-2. That's going to be tough and A, and she does not have tough. Horse is an A, so it's a 1 trait roll for 4.2. All right, and now we're going down the home stretch, and looks like she's at 12.4, so it's going to be A, and we just roll 1 die, right?
Yeah.
And here it is, 5. So at this point, she can't bump another barrel. That's not a threat.
No, she's just coming down the backstretch.
So 5.2, that was not a good finish. Looks like it's going to be 17.7. So 17.7, that puts her, she's basically the same score as Callahan, but without the 10-second penalty. Let's do one more, Amberly Moore, and we'll have Amberly out the gate. Here we go. So it's a 3-1. That's going to be balance and A. She's got balance, but the horse is a B, so that'll be a 1 trait roll, 4.2 out the start. Second barrel is going to be 6-4. That's tough and B, and that's going to be a 2 trait roll with a 1. Ooh, 4 seconds even. Nice. Picked up that 1/10 of a second. Third barrel. It's 3-4. That's going to be balance and B. Oh, she's got it again. It's a 2 trait quality. 4.1. Look at this.
That's pretty good for a B horse.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So that's 12.3. She's a B1, or not B1. She's B, and we'll roll again for the home stretch. 5.1. I think she's going to win. That's going to be 12 or 17.4. So she will have the best time. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that it's the scores are very tight. They're very similar, it looks like.
Yeah, they're all very, very tight. Even the first 10 or 15 riders all seem to be within 1/10 or 2/10 of a second within each other.
Is there anything you think you could do as from the design standpoint to address that, or to make it more exciting? Or, I mean,
Yeah, this was the toughest of all the games that I did to try and generate some excitement and some fun to the games. I thought by varying the backstretch would add a little bit of drama, and having a bump barrel, it might generate some drama, but it kind of feels like just a dice rolling game. And the traits should, and like Kinsey should win most of the time because she was a very strong rider in the Calgary Stampede, and I tried to design her card so she'd be a strong rider. But I think that's what makes the game fun, is that you can have a strong person not do very well. I did make up some strategy cards to add in
right.
to the game. I know when we played this on the weekend with my family, came over and we had some drinks and played the barrel racing, and they didn't like the barrel racing week. they just wanted to race their own racers and have less racers involved. So we only ran the 4, and we ran it 3 times, and we took your best score of the 3 times, and that seemed to work a little bit better and not quite as lengthy with their barrel racing week. So yeah, the barrel racing week, I'm sort of humming and hawing about that, but
I wonder,
it just gives somebody a choice when they play.
I wonder if there's a way that you could around each barrel, you could have some sort of risk reward thing where you could choose to maybe put a little bit of extra speed at the risk of bumping a barrel.
Yeah.
Maybe you shave 1/10 of a second off, or 2/10 of a second in an extreme case, but you increase your risk of bumping the barrel. And of course, if you do, then you're out. That might be something that I could see where if you're playing this game in a multiplayer mode, where all right, I'm around the second barrel, but I still need to gain a couple tenths of a second. I'm going to go ahead and get aggressive here and risk bumping the barrel, and maybe get the best time at the risk of falling into 5th place or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, and that's one of the strategy cards that I designed. 2 rolls out of 6 is a 3.9 seconds, so that's probably the quickest roll that you can have. But also on that same strategy card, if you roll a 6, you're going to get a 4.4. So
right.
you have a chance to really push it, but you're also risking it of taking a bad roll.
2 really quick questions before we move on to Chuck Wagon. The starred qualities, I only saw Haley Kinsel had them, and so I wondered if maybe do they come into play? Are they intended to be used that sparingly, or did you just only give them to her just for?
Yeah, I just gave it to her because she was sort of by far at least the stats I had from the Calgary Stampede in 2019. She was by far the best racer, so I wanted to give her a little bit more of an edge rather than having 5 qualities. So with the stars, whenever you roll that quality, you shave off 1/10 of a second off her time.
Right.
So I wanted to make her strongest of the group.
And that should, in theory, that should work because you're going to roll. It looks like you got a 1 out of 3 chance of getting that, and which means in any given barrel race, you should be able to shave 1/10 of a second off at least once.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. The other question I had was and we don't have to go into depth on this, but I didn't understand the time clock chart. How is that supposed to work?
You know what? That was just an oversight on my part. It actually should be 0, 4, 8, 12, and then it goes up from there because most of the each barrel is 4 seconds. So when I initially designed the game, I had it at 3, and the trait columns at the bottom went up by 3s. And then I realized I wasn't getting to 16.9, 17.1 for the winners. So when I went to 4, it seemed to work out a little bit better, especially at the back stretch. And it was just an oversight on my part. I never changed those numbers up top.
Well, doggone you, Rob. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, I'll at least now I know. I was trying to figure out what the heck. How does this work? Okay.
Well, it's funny. When we played the other night, nobody noticed, but we were having a couple drinks when we played. So.
Well, there you go. I need to have a couple drinks before I do this show, obviously.
Yeah.
That might help. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Chuck Wagon races here. It looks like we're getting oh gosh, we're just after 7. We're actually out of time, aren't we? let's go ahead and do a real quick run through of this, and then we'll go ahead and wrap the show up because we got some more submissions coming in. We'll hopefully update next week and begin to tie this all together. So we've got. I'm just gonna put the Chuck Wagon racers here on the board. I got Hank Rivets, Dusty Trails, Henrik Sparks, and Spud Malone. And there's a way that you would set them up in order with the barrel churn. What is the barrel?
Yeah.
What is a barrel churn?
The barrel churn's the start. It's probably the key part of the race.
Yeah, I know you said that, but I'm trying to figure out why is it what is it?
Well, they face away from the track, and when they start the race, the chuck wagons have to go down around a barrel, and then they circle back, and then they get onto the main raceway and circle around the where they're racing on the dirt track. So they sort of start backwards and come around. So it's a barrel turn, or they call it the barrel churn, and there's not a lot of passing at Chuck Wagon, but I wanted to simulate a little bit of passing to make it kind of fun.
Right.
But yeah, and so I sort of did I think 4 out of the 6 ways the better Chuck Wagons get the lead, but I also wanted to have a different way to start it. So if you have a bad Chuck Wagon, you can get off to a good start. And
okay.
Yeah, so that's what the die roll 1 to 6 does at the beginning.
Okay, so we're going to skip that and just set them up in this order. Spud Malone is 1, Henrik Sparks in 2nd, Dusty Trails 3rd, Hank Rivets in 4th at the start. Now we go through this little fast action card deck that you made, and the way it works is you have to go through 4 turn cards. When you get a turn card, then that means the turn is over, and you do
exactly.
you do 4 turns for the race, and you read the result. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and your marker should be on turn 1 because the barrel churn is the first turn.
All right. So, right. Okay. So I've got them set up like this, and then we flip the cards over, and then we just read from 4th place to 2nd place, correct? To see what the kind of movement is, right?
Yeah.
All right, Here we go. Here's our first turn. So 4th is a bad day unless you get 2 horse traits, which he does, and 4 rider traits, which he does not. So 4th, Hank Rivers is going to stay where he is. Dusty Trails. Horses are sluggish, and here's Henrik Sparks. Does he have reins, outrider, and stoveman? He has all of those. No, he doesn't have outrider. He's got reins and stoveman, but not outriders. So no movement that turn, and we flip to the next card. We don't go to the next turn because we didn't get a turn card.
No.
4th, so we go back to Hank.
And the turn cards are going to come up randomly, so it's another. I thought it was kind of a neat feature of the race when they come up randomly, so you never know when the race is going to end. It could be a long one using all 12 cards, or it could be over in 6 cards, it added a lot of drama when we played. They seem to really like that aspect.
Okay, cool. So Hank Rivets moves into the 3rd spot, and then he's going to get to be the 3rd place guy too. Does he have stoveman and drive traits? He does. So he'll move into 2nd unless he has power and speed on his horse. What he does have that, but why would that be bad? You mean power and speed on the other guys?
Yeah, the person he's chasing.
Okay, and he does not, so that will put him in 2nd place. So he's going to get to do the 2nd place move as well. He's going to move all the way up. Move into the top spot if you have 3 rider traits and power on your horse, and he does. So look at that. Hank Rivets takes the lead, just blows by him. That's pretty exciting. And we're still not out of the first turn though.
No.
4th, you're stuck there, no acceleration. 3rd place, also stuck. 2nd place, unless you get 3 horse traits, he does not. So that's going to stay the same. Okay. And it's still not a turn card yet. Go to 4th place if you have 3 or more rider traits, you can pass 3rd. He does, and Henrik Sparks' horse does not have 2 horse traits. So that means Dusty Trails is going to get to move into 3rd, but he will not get to move any further. And the 2nd place rider, Spuds Malone, will go to the unusual events chart. Now, I've never done that. Where is that? Is that here it is. So I got to roll this on the unusual. And I think on your weekend get-together, that was the Chuck Wagons Collide result, right?
Yeah, we rolled a 2.
So let's see. I rolled a 6. 3-second penalty, caught in the barrel churn, moved back 1 place. So the 2nd place guy is going to move back to 3rd. All right, and that should be okay. Now we're finally over with the first turn. So fourth place moves up one spot into third. If you have power and speed, does not. Third place moves up if he has reins and guts, does not. Second, cannot catch the top guy unless you have 4 riders, 4 rider and 2 horse traits. Nope, only 1 horse trait, so that is going to be nothing. And we go to, we're still on the second turn. Go to the fourth place. If your horse has 3 traits, move into third. Does not. Third place, move into second if you have 4+ rider traits. Does not. Second moves into the top spot. Rider has the mojo. So Dusty Trails takes the lead. And let's see. Fourth place, if you have more total qualities than the third place rider, switch spots. They have the same, so that would be a no. Third place person is going to use the unusual results chart. This is fun. I didn't get to use this in my test race. If you do not have the leader quality, drop back 1 place. I don't see anybody with the leader quality. Oh, yeah, I do see. Yes, it's a horse quality, and he does have it.
Yeah.
So he will stay where he is. And second place will move into first if he has 4 or more rider traits. Does not. And now we end the turn. Fourth place, switch spots with the driver. 2 if you have 4+ driver traits. Nope. Third place, switch spots with driver 1 if you have 4 driver traits. Does not. Second place, pass the top driver if you have 4 driver traits and he has only 1 horse trait. Does not have 4 driver traits, so everybody's going to stay the same. And now we go, we have another turn card. So I have now turned 3. So do I keep going then? I do one more?
Yeah, you finish the card and then the turn.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you just finished the turn.
All right.
You finish each of the cards and then that's your final turn on the finish, then the race is over.
Okay, so like the next card I can see is the 4th turn card. So that means that is going to be the end of the race. That is going to be the last card, right? This one is not. That one is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go and just do these last 2 cards and the race will be over. So the 4th place passes into third if the third place rider has only 1 horse trait. Nope, he has 2, so he's going to stay right where he is. Henrik Sparks stays in 4th. Third place passes into second if the second place rider has only 1 horse trait. No, Hank Rivets has 2, so that's a no. It gives Hank Rivets a chance to move into first if the first place rider has only 1 horse trait, and that is the case. Dusty Trails only has speed, so Hank Rivets takes the lead, and here's the final card. 4th place, you're stuck. Should have got a better start. Third place, move up 1 spot if you have 4 driver traits. No, only 3. That leaves it up to Dusty Trails to challenge for the lead. Move up 1 spot if the top rider has 1 horse trait. No, he's got 2. Hank Rivets holds on for the win. So it's Hank Rivets, Dusty Trails, Spud Malone, and Henrik Sparks. That's our final order. Okay, your thoughts about this game before we wrap up?
We played it a few times, and it's always been a lot of fun. So the unpredictability of the cards and when the turns are going to come seem to generate some excitement. And there isn't a lot of passing in chuck wagon races, so I wanted to simulate that a little bit in the race. But I think to have some fun, you got to have some passing here and there. So I tried to tie everything in as well as I possibly could. And the strategy cards, real quick. What are your thoughts on those? Any recommendations on those? Did I have strategy cards for that one?
It looks like they are.
Okay.
Steal a strategy, add rider quality, this move only, add a rider quality, take away a horse trait.
Okay. You know what, Keith? I forgot to print them out, so we never used them that night.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like they would probably be perfect for a, multiplayer type situation.
Yeah.
All right.
I think, now I remember too. I think you had to use them before turn 3 too, when you had the strategy cards.
Okay.
So just to generate some early excitement and then let the races, run down the backstretch on their own.
Okay. All right. Well, you submitted a couple other games that I'll put in the next packet, and appreciate you joining us tonight on the show, Rob. Thanks a lot for calling in.
All right. Thanks for having me, Keith. Sorry for being so long.
No worries. All right, so we are running overtime. We're going to wrap it up real quickly. Thanks a lot for joining us for Game Gab. Next week, I think we're going to try to kind of tie this all together and maybe put some final refinements on these games, and we'll kind of wrap it up and close with some thoughts about the process, the design process, and some of the hopefully get some input from folks about maybe what they've learned about the game design process through this little exercise. And of course, if I remember correctly, Elon suggested that we needed to have a team roping module in order for it to be a complete rodeo. So if anybody wants to come up with something for that, that would be great. We would have all the rodeo events covered. So that's what our assignment is for next week. More playtesting. Any tweaking, any suggestions, the email address is info@play.com. So thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate you being here on the show, part of Game Gab, and we'll plan on seeing you next Tuesday nights. Till then, have a great rest of your week.